Lucy had been shot by her father. She was in her father's home, somewhere she should have been safe. Home. I want to use my contribution today to talk about my constituent, Lucy Harrison. As a warning, what follows will be painful to hear. Painful because Lucy was deeply loved, because Lucy's life was taken in circumstances that should never have happened, and because Lucy's family and loved ones have had to carry the truth of that day ever since. They've shown extraordinary courage in allowing her story to be told. Lucy was just 23 when she died. She was from Great Sankey in Warrington. She had her whole life ahead of her. Lucy was not simply a name in the news. She was Jane's daughter. She was Sam's partner. She was deeply loved, and she should still be here. Lucy had already achieved so much. She had earned a first-class degree in fashion buying and merchandising and had begun a career she was passionate about. She was building a life with a partner, Sam. Sam has described Lucy as the joy of his life. She meant everything to him. Boxing Day 2024 would be the last time that Jane saw her daughter alive. On the 27th of December 2024, Lucy and Sam travelled to Texas to visit Lucy's father and his family. Lucy's father, a British citizen, now lives in Texas. They were due to return home on the 10th of January 2025. However, on the day they were due to return home, just before leaving for the airport, Lucy went into a bedroom with her father. Sam waited for Lucy in the living room. A short time later, Sam heard a loud bang. Lucy had been shot by her father. She was in her father's home, somewhere she should have been safe. It was in the middle of the night when Jane, who was back home in Warrington, received the call that no parent should ever receive, that Lucy had been shot by her father and she'd not survived. Jane and Sam immediately found themselves trying to understand how Lucy's death was being investigated, what evidence was being considered, and whether anyone would ever be held accountable. They were left trying to understand a legal system without adequate support from the FCDO. The Prosper Police Department investigated Lucy's death as a possible criminal negligent homicide, but the case was later considered by a grand jury in Texas, and no criminal charges were brought. The gun had simply gone off. When the evidence was later examined at Lucy's inquest in Cheshire, the conclusion was very different. The senior coroner found that Lucy had been unlawfully killed. The senior coroner for Cheshire told the court that Lucy's father's actions on the day of her death were truly exceptionally bad and reprehensible so as to amount to her death, and she rejected the account that the gun had simply gone off. The coroner found that for Lucy to have suffered the injury she did, her father must have pointed the firearm in her direction, failed to check whether it was loaded, and then pulled the trigger. She described those actions as reckless and concluded that amounted to gross negligence manslaughter. An officer detected alcohol on his breath, and he initially denied having consumed any. And despite that, no breathalyzer or blood alcohol tests were ever carried out. So the senior coroner's findings directly challenged the description of Lucy's death as a tragic incident. And they raise serious questions about whether the original investigation followed the evidence with the rigour this case demanded. Now, Lucy's family recognises that the legal systems in England and Texas are different, but they're not asking for the government to interfere in another country's justice system, but they're asking for the findings of a British coroner reached after a full examination of the evidence to be taken seriously, and they're asking for Lucy's case to be reconsidered by US authorities. So today I implore the government to use every channel it has to press the relevant authorities in Texas to reopen or formally reconsider Lucy's case, and to stand alongside a British family to ensure the findings of a British court are properly considered. And as a matter of urgency, to ensure that the FCDO in future does more to support families, the families of constituents murdered abroad. Jane has said that those who knew Lucy know what she would want them to do now, to make change, to do better and be better. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. They're carrying on the fight for Lucy.